You may be seated. Good evening. I want to welcome you to the induction ceremony of Pi Eta Kappa, the Beta chapter, which is here at York College. We are delighted today. This is the first induction ceremony we're having here on this campus. The last one we had was at Medgar Evers College, and I just want to thank you for coming out. And we're going to begin our program right now. Our president is here with us, and then our rest of our program will proceed as follows. I do want to give just one quick brief announcement that Dr. Ron Daniels, who is here, unfortunately is teaching, so he's not going to be able to join us, but he expresses his regret for not being able to join us today. So he will not be speaking with the honorary fellows, but the other honorary fellows will be. So at this time, in lieu of Reverend Leon Brothers, who could not, well, he couldn't get here on time, but he'll be here a little later, we're going to just stand and have an invocation, if we would. Let us bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to help and to celebrate these young men, dear God, who are reaching out into York, into the community, and who are reaching out to mentor other young men. We thank you for the example that they have set, and we ask that you continue to lift them up in their own separate individual lives as well as here academically. These blessings we ask in the name of the Lord. Amen. You may be seated. We are now so happy. She's so busy, and I'm so happy she had a chance to come out to greet us. The president of our college, Dr. Marcel Keys. Let us give her a hand as she comes.
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone this evening? It is really my absolute delight, and I must share with you that before I joined you here, I was in the midst of, unfortunately, a little bit of a meltdown. But as I came towards the atrium, and as I approached the stage and looked out at the stage, I immediately emerged out of my meltdown and into another level. So I thank you for being patient and for being here today to help me lift my spirits, as it were. So thank you. So in behalf of our whole college, and you know sometimes better than I do just how many people that represents, not only among our students, but certainly from our faculty and our staff, I want to bring you greetings as you are inducted today into the Pi Eta Kappa Honor Society, the Beta chapter here at York College. Indeed, we are proud of the work that we do here, but we are also always very proud when a segment of our community decides to strive for something better, and that is what you have decided to do. And clearly, that is why you are demonstrating that not only are you striving, but you are indeed achieving. You have taken on the charge to encourage, to stimulate, and to maintain excellence in scholarship. But not only that, you have also taken on the charge to promote and support exemplary ethical standards in all conduct, and to develop and train responsible and respected leaders in all fields of human endeavors. So it's very much a balanced act. It's a balanced act of scholarship, but it's also balanced, if you will, by service. And that is why I am proud to be here today, to bring you greetings, to say how proud we are of your work, to say too, to your leaders, and particularly to Mr. Quash, who leads this effort. Congratulations, well done. We're very, very proud to have him with us. And as you know, he's an alum of York, and so we really embrace his leadership here. We're also delighted that some faculty members are out to support you, as well as some distinguished members of our community. So, in behalf of our whole college, our students, our administrators, or faculty and staff, we welcome you to this induction ceremony, and we say to you that let this be the beginning of the kind of scholarship and service that you can embrace, that is excellent, that is exemplary, and that will serve as really a torch for others here at your college. So I want to congratulate you. I'm not going to be able to stay for the whole thing, but I do want to congratulate you on this endeavor. To you, applause.
You may be seated. Thank you, President Keyes, and I want you to know that these gentlemen all must maintain a 3.5 GPA to be part of Pi Eta Kappa, and you can see the list of the inductees for this semester listed. They come from a variety of different backgrounds with respect to majors, from geology to social work, physician assistant, nutrition, marketing, English. So we are well represented within the college, and we are certainly proud of the gentlemen that we have with us today. I'm certainly proud to introduce a gentleman whom I knew slightly before he came to York College, but he is now working in the student development umbrella, and he has jumped right in and began to work with all of the different programs that he oversees. So let us give a welcome to Dr. Thomas Gibson as he gives us our statement of occasion.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. I'm mindful of two things this afternoon. The first is that I quite possibly should be brief, as many of you have probably been on campus all day. Secondly, I'm probably one of many who stand between you and your loosening up of your tie. So I'm going to be mindful of that, okay? But who are Pi Eta Kappa members and the inductees? Well, they're role models, student leaders, and logical thinkers. Logical. How important is it to be logical? Well, this thought reminds me of a story about a sixth grader named Jimmy. One day, Jimmy came home after school, and he said to his father, "Dad, I want to marry Grandma." This is what he said. Okay. Now, his father looked at his son puzzled, confused, and he just shook his head and offered no response. The next day, Jimmy came home from school, and as the previous day, he said to his father, "Dad, I want to marry Grandma." Now, this time, the father was somewhat frustrated, okay? And out of his frustration, he said, "That is just ridiculous. You can't marry my mother." Then Jimmy said, "Well, why not? You married mine." So I think everything that appears to be logical isn't so logical. And sometimes you need to think outside of the box and consider the uncommon or the unlikely. And that may just mean establishing a fraternity and honor society such as Pi Eta Kappa. I'm uncertain rather the formation of this group was a logical thing to do, but I am certain that it was the right thing to do. Okay? I am proud that all of you has chosen to live up to the expectations, the standards, and the mission of Pi Eta Kappa. You know, I recently read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point. And in his book, he discussed the law of the few, which state that change occurs or tips by the extraordinary work of the few. All of you are the few in numbers, but you are the many in terms of impact. So today we will induct new members into our beta chapter of Pi Eta Epsilon, which I am certain that is a step into the right direction of effecting positive change. Congratulations.
You may be seated. I want to acknowledge a few special guests who are here today. There are a few people, family and friends who are here, but in particular, there are a few people who I'm glad came out because they have a special relationship with the Male Initiative Program. You may or may not know what it is, but I do want to thank them for coming. The first would be Tracy Branch, who is the counselor with the SEEK program. She has been a tremendous support to the Male Initiative Program as well as to myself since I think both of us came to York. We've been sort of working together, and when I was working with the SEEK program, she's been really great. But she also helps with respect to whenever I have a problem, I can always go to Tracy Branch, and she can always help out. I also want to acknowledge Rhea Lewis, the Assistant Director of the Adult and Continuing Education Program, who's with us today. Thank you so much, Rhea, for coming out. And a person that you may not know, someone who actually teaches with your department, Mr. Clifford Benton, on the end over there, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. But he is actually one of those who is behind the scenes driving the Male Initiative Program and efforts like this. He's the one who helps me secure some of the speakers that I get, and he's the one who was the brainchild behind the hip-hop town hall meeting that we had, and which went on to KISS FM and BAI and WWRL. But that was all Dr. Benton over there, who also works with us in our Adult and Continuing Education Department as well, and we're so grateful for his efforts as well as for all of you who are here today. We're going to, at this time, ask the Pi Eta Kappa members, the inductees, to stand. And we're going to just offer a charge. Dr. Keys has given us our objectives, and she stated them so wonderfully, and we're just going to simply charge you with the things that that embrace and what a Pi Eta Kappa man is all about. And the Pi Eta Kappa should at all times be psychologically sound, culturally savvy, intellectually sharp, and morally clean, and should conduct himself as a gentleman. You're charged to be courageous in following your convictions, mentally prepared to make use of every opportunity, and you should consider the welfare of others before your own. You're charged to your superiors to be dutiful, to your coworkers to be helpful, to your subordinates to be generous, and to all men brotherly. You're charged to learn how to play the game like a man, to fight against nothing so hard as your own weaknesses, and should endeavor to gain in strength. You should live so that your actions shall never besmirch your honor, and thus maintain the honor of Pi Eta Kappa. You may be seated. It brings me great pleasure and honor at this time to offer the honorary members of Pi Eta Kappa, our honorary fellows. We have Councilman Comer, who's actually on his way, but in the meantime, we have a couple of the honorary fellows who are here. I'm going to introduce them at this time. The first honorary fellow is a gentleman that I met some years ago, actually through Mr. Ronald Stanley, who is in the registrar's office. He said to me, you know, you need to reach out to this brother named William H. Burgess III. And so I began to do a little research on Bill, and I said, oh, this guy is, you know, he's a powerhouse. He's a heavy hitter. And if you read his bio, he lists all of the things that he has there that he's involved with, the many different things with respect to art and with respect to executive recruitment and other types of things as well. But more importantly, Bill Burgess is a gentleman who saw the need right away to jump in full force at the York College campus and help out with the Male Initiative Program any chance he gets. Every time he picks up the phone, he says to me, Jonathan, I just sent a proposal to here, or I just talked to so-and-so about this. You need to speak to so-and-so, because we need to, we need to support the guys. And this is one of the things that I love about him, because he's always thinking. He won't tell you this, but he actually suffered quite perilously with Lyme disease for a while. Was dealing with tremendous amount of pain and all the things that comes with. But even then, Bill was thinking about the Male Initiative Program in ways that he could help. And that's one of the reasons why he's being inducted as an honorary fellow today. So let us at this time stand and give honor to Mr. William H. Burgess III, our honorary fellow.
Thank you so much. It warms me to have you guys to stand for me, and I appreciate it. And I'm standing back to you as well and saying congratulations on being our new inductees to the Beta chapter. I tell you, it's amazing how life presents itself. You meet good people like Jonathan, you meet good people like Dr. Keys, your new assistant dean of students, and Roger Scotland, a colleague that I've known in city government for some time now, and now is leader of his own agency here in Queens, which is his background. I'm very deeply honored to be in the company of such good people and great people as the ones that you have here today, and of yourselves and your families and the people that represent you. I just want to say something very simple, and that is that Dr. Edison Jackson did a major monumental thing at concretizing what the Men's Center Initiative means to the CUNY system. And by doing so and making this chapter, the second chapter in this inclusion, I think has been a major event. One of the things that I have to say that you have to consider as you embark in your individual careers and finishing your college degree, and that is you have to believe in yourself. You've got to know that you are the most important person in your own life, and you have to also be thankful of the people who brought you to this place that you are now. That's your parents, that's the people in your, if you're grew up in the church or synagogue or the mosque or wherever your religious bearings took place. Those are the beginnings of who you are as a person. So you have to believe that you can succeed and that you have everything that you need to be successful. It's just a question of just go, it's like years and years ago, instead of the kind of way in which the airports are set up now, the airplanes used to land. I was a little kid myself then. They would land out on the tar pack where the landing field was, and you walked out to the plane, and you didn't go through a kind of a tunnel system that connected directly to the plane, so you walked out to the plane. And frequently, maybe some of you have seen some old Alfred Hitchcock movies, and they show that the guy who's going to be getting away from everything rushes out, and he manages to get out to the airport, and he gets on the plane, and just as he's taking off, the cops or whoever was chasing him comes behind. And he kind of looks back over his shoulder and looks out the window, and he sees that he made it. He got away from the people who were trying to chase him. So you have to always have that in your mind, that you made it. You made it to the point to where you are now, and that you are moving forward, and you're not letting any of those negative vibrations or situations that have been a part of your life to affect where you're going now. And you know where you're going. You're directed to an objective and goals that you have set for yourself. So it's you, it's you, it's you, and then after you've thought about yourself for at least 3 times first, you must think of others. You must think of your fellow brothers who are in the society. You have to think of your families and your home and your college, and you have to be responsible for this college. When you graduate, you need to be alumni of the college, giving back to the college. And also, that's not only your time, but that's your money, your contacts, people that you know. You have to focus on that. Then the second thing that you have to consider, and that is have you done anything to help somebody else? And if you haven't up to now, and you've considered yourself a taker, then you've got to be a giver too. So you've got to think about what you can give and how you can give it, and make that part of your modus operandi. And lastly, you have to think about the most important thing, that's your communities. You represent this community, but you represent a lot of other different communities. You're men of color, so you represent other communities besides this one. So you have to be able to give something back to those as well. So the whole operation of being believer of yourself, being focused on your goals and your objectives, and being able to share that with others, and making sure that others get what you've gotten to be where you are today. If you keep those three things in mind, you're going to be a tremendous success. So my hat is off to all of you, and I thank every one of you for being here today and wanting to be a part of this Men's Center. And stay a part and be great. Thank you.
You may be seated. The next honorary fellow is also no stranger to the York College Male Initiative Program. He's a gentleman that I call not only a friend but a brother, because Mr. Roger Scotland, who serves currently as the executive director for the Southern Queens Park Association, is a gentleman that I can call in the midnight hour, and he is right there. He comes and inspires our young people. He was our guest speaker for our Upward and Onward program last semester. But even back years ago when he was working in the mayor's office, he was here all the time and was here rolling his sleeves up saying, anything I can do to help, just let me know. He comes, I remember the second year we had York Fest, Dr. Keys. Roger came, but he was not dressed as he's dressed now. And so I did not recognize him because he had his sweats on. And then he pulls up next side to me. He says, "Oh, you don't know how to say hi to a brother?" I said, "Oh my goodness, Roger, I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize him. I hadn't seen him dressed down." So, but he is a gentleman who he can go at it with the best of them in terms of basketball, and he can also go at it with the best of them in terms of government. And he is indeed a friend to us. So let us at this time receive Mr. Roger Scotland. Let us stand.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say thank you for the honor and congratulations to the new inductees and the current members of Pi Eta Kappa. President Keys and to the other faculty members, thank you for your support of the Male Initiative. Brother Quash does in fact call me at all hours of the night, and many of the times that I'm called in it's by surprise. This was a surprise to me as well, but I'm very thankful. I am not a member of any other fraternity. The college I went to, fraternities or sororities were not allowed. Some groups have tried to bestow the honor on me, of which I've turned down. This one I was very proud of because of what it stood for. Jonathan Quash and I share a fellowship or a fraternity in the belief of others and the need for our communities to excel. As such, I would be remiss if I turned down this honor this evening. In my former life in government, I was a senior policy advisor in the Bloomberg administration. I was involved in the creation or the implementation of the Black Male Initiative and now the Male Initiative. And York College was one of the few programs where I had an opportunity to really be involved on the street level, where the tire meets the road, as they say. And, you know, sometimes it's like when you're doing work with children. Many times you work with the adults on the administrative end and not the children. And then in order to get recharged, you go play with the kids, then you go back and do the paperwork, you deal with the adults who you wish were more childlike and more honest and sincere. In being able to work with the students and with the faculty, I had an opportunity to actually help to make sure that our male students had the resources and opportunities that they so deserved. So this is not about us. I say thank you for the honor. The honor is in part to remind adults or older professionals, because you're a professional and you're an adult yourself, what we have to do to give back. You'll hear many things tonight and throughout your career around validation. How do you seek validation? Who validates you? You validate yourself. And whenever you start to not believe in yourself, you need to hold on to reference points. Those things, those major hardships that you've come through in your life, and then when you can't get through, you look to your left and you look to your right. Who do you see? You see your brothers. Those are the same people that have to carry you with them to make sure that we reach the point where we need to be so we can impact change in our communities the way how we need to. So I know it's somewhat of a long evening. I thank you for the honor. I wish you continued success. I'm very proud of you. 3.5, I know is the baseline. I know you'll do much more than that. I'm looking forward to whatever it is you pursue in life, that you will be successful at it. If it's a BA, if it's the graduate degrees, the CUNY system has some wonderful graduate programs. If you move on beyond the CUNY network, just remember where you got your start. I thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. You may be seated. You may say, every time he gets up, they stand. Well, this is the discipline that a Pi Eta Kappa man has, that they acknowledge and represent themselves all the time in as guardians of the best, the greatest. And that's exactly what we are. And so our chapter president, Mr. Edner Registre, is going to come now with our history and the explanation of our symbols.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Keys, guests, brothers, family, friends. I'm going to begin by reading Pi Eta Kappa's history. In 1991, Dr. Edison O discerned the need to develop a pragmatic response to address the dire plight of urban males in higher education, a predicament characterized by lower rates in enrollment, retention, and graduation. Committed to his vision of reversing these national trends, in 2001, Dr. Jackson created the Male Development and Empowerment Center, MDEC, with a mission of encouraging educational attainment, economic empowerment, and self-actualization amongst young men of color. Dr. Jackson's vision articulates an organization commitment to male student success in 3 areas: leadership, development, civic engagement, and the academic excellence reflected in this motto: lead, engage, excel. On April 27, 2007, Dr. Jackson and MDNC celebrated the establishment of the first academic fraternity and honor society for urban males, Pi Eta Kappa Incorporated, with the induction of an inaugural cohort of 56 Black and Latino men. This society functions as the locus for male success. On May 6, 2009, the Beta chapter at York College was established. Now I'm going to give you a brief description of the insignia of the Pi Eta Kappa fraternity. The name of the honor society is represented by the capital form of the Greek letters Pi Eta Kappa, which stand for scholarship, character, and leadership. The symbol of Pi Eta Kappa are the lamp of learning, the feather of Ma'at, and the wasp. The colors of Pi Eta Kappa are crimson and old gold. The flower of Pi Eta Kappa are the crimson rose and the gold calla lily. The motto of the fraternity is Custos Optimo Maximo, which is translated, guardians of the best, the greatest. Thank you.
You may be seated. In considering a keynote speaker for today, we were thinking of many people, but I said to myself, wouldn't it be more impactful to have a student give somewhat of the keynote address, because students, after all, are why we are all here. And this is what Pi Eta Kappa is all about. And one of the students that came to mind, or the first one that came to mind, is the one that I have been mentoring for a few years now. He's one that is very near and dear to me. His name is Marcel Crooks. He's a member of the SEEK program. His counselor is here, Miss Branch, and he came to the Male Initiative program a while ago. Actually, he was in my class, and we began talking a little bit after class and discovering different things about what he wants to do and different other things that he's going to talk about in a minute. But one of the reasons why I thought that Marcel would be a perfect keynote address speaker is because of the difficulties that he has come through and some of the challenges and obstacles that he has faced as a student right here at York. He may not reveal this in his address, but there are some days when I have caught Marcel in a hallway all to himself, reflecting on his life and tears swelling in his eyes. And there are many days when he really feels like giving up, I will be honest, and finds no way of going. But somehow or another, we managed to, with our mentoring program, we managed to swoop him up in our arms, and he has come along the ranks with other SEEK students, non-SEEK students, and other students within the program. And he has, in my opinion, he's not my son, but he's more like a brother, and I'm so proud of him that he has no idea of how my chest pokes out when you hear from where he's come to where he is now. He is in my opinion, the model example of what the BMI program is about, because the program is designed to retain students, to retain quality students. He may not have had the best start to life, but it is our job while we are here to see if we can offer the resources to assist him while he's on his journey. So I want you to join me in welcoming Marcel Crooks as he gives the keynote address.
Thank you, Professor Quash. I'm not the person that, I wasn't always the person that you've seen standing here before you. I've come a very, very long way with the help of Tracy Branch, Miss Bell, Miss Jackson, and Professor Quash. I grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and my story starts back when I was around the age of 7. I lost my father. He was shot on my doorstep in Hollis, Queens. And from there on, I lost my mother to drugs, and my grandmother was sick, and I was in and out of foster care. And I came to somehow find what's the word? Like strength and courage to keep going and finish high school. I didn't have many friends that would push me forward or any support from family. It's mostly guidance counselors in high school who helped me, and throughout that process I managed to graduate from high school 5 months early. And I continued on to want to apply to different colleges. But on April 8th of 2006, my life changed. I was gunned down on about 7 blocks from my house, walking my sister home from a party. And from there on, I came to a realization that life is not a joke, and it can end anytime, at any time, any moment. And I ended up applying to York College after getting out the hospital about 8 to 9 months later. And I was accepted into the SEEK program, and that's where I met Tracy Branch. And she helped me a lot of my ways through college so far, like my 3 years here, because I was very nervous, and a lot of the things that I did not know then, I know now, and sometimes I wish I can start over. And Professor Quash has helped me stay positive throughout all the things that I've been through and where I am now, and continue to get past the situations that I've been dealing with in my life. And when I was 17, that's when I first got my own apartment, and I was working 2 jobs and going to school to maintain my rent, my phone bills, and anything else I had going on. At times, it got a little discouraging. I mean, when you want to do things and you can't, or you want something, you can't really have it. So you lead to other alternatives. But Professor Quash, he helped me to stay on the right track and stay in school, and that's something I'll always be grateful for him for. Also, Miss Tracy Branch. And my time here at York has, wanted me to pursue more and get further than just my bachelor's degree in English. And I plan on to go to graduate school and continue on into my career. And I want to thank Wilson for helping me tie my tie, and Ms. Branch for helping me get a little bit more confidence in talking today. And thank you all for listening to me today.
We can do better than that. Let's give him another hand. This is what York is about. You may be seated. This is what York is about. This is where, these are the stories that we hear. I hear all the time, Ms. Branch hears, but Marcel is a very special individual to all of us, and he is one who's been there through thick and thin in terms of he gives me credit, but really the strength is always inside of him. It's just a matter of revealing it and allowing him to utilize his own strength. And so I'm grateful to him. I'm very proud of him standing up here. He almost had a heart attack prior to standing up and talking, but he got through it, and I know he's happy it's over. But he did a great job. I'm really proud of him. And so now we will have the induction of our members. So I'm going to ask our inductees to stand. As Aralafel passes the flame, I'm going to read a part of the ceremony that has to do with our secret handshake and our secret phrase. This history of our society emerges solemnly and proudly with blood as its root. On June 12, 1963, our eternal Grand Serious Medgar Evers was assassinated in the state of Mississippi. Our enemies conspired several times to end his life, but were unable. So fearful and enraged of his intelligence, character, and leadership, our enemies lurked in the darkness, and from afar, while his back was turned, fired a fateful bullet. As his blood spewed out onto his shirt, which reads, "Jim Crow must go," he walked as a mighty lion, unyielding and unafraid, until he lay in front of his home, bloody but not unbowed, refusing to die until the words and the grip could be properly passed to our brothers. For this display of strength, we have our motto, Custos Optimo Maxima, which is translated guardian of the best, the greatest. Before his death, nearly an hour later at the local hospital, he passed along the sentence and the grip to our brothers, which only the true fellows know. It is upon this secret sentence and grip, when heard and given, Dr. Jackson, president at that time of Medgar Evers College, reestablishes this society of fellows forever known as Pi Eta Kappa. Our brother Derek Braswell will administer the grip and the secret phrase. Brothers, you may now extinguish your flame. Let us give a congratulations to the induction class of Pi Eta Kappa. I thank you so much for coming. That is our ceremony for today. Let us all please, though, congratulate the brothers as we conclude. Thank you so much.
I just want to say one more thing, and that is that Dr. Keys is approaching her 5th anniversary in February of 2010 as the president of this famous institution. And I think you need to be aware of how important it is to have a career academician of administration who has done tremendous career already in the CUNY system before she came here, and she's here now, and she supports what we do in the Men's Center, and she makes sure that the Men's Center gets its fair share of the resources that are available through the CUNY system. So we need to applaud Dr. Keys.